Review is a Comedy Central series that ran for 22 episodes about Forrest McNeil, a man who goes around reviewing life experiences on a 5-point scale. Whether it be racism,
Laugh it up, you...
being buried alive, getting into a pillow fight, glory holes, being Helen Keller, and whatever the fuck this is, Forrest is committed to every review. This show is so good. It has everything you could want in a comedy. It's as hilarious as it is dark. It's absurd yet very clever, it's cringy but insanely watchable, and it's as gross as it is weirdly beautiful at points. It's produced by the same company behind these shows, all of which are great in their own right, but it's easily the most overlooked of them. I'm tempted to call it underrated, but everyone who's seen it basically loves it. Part of the fun of this mockumentary series is seeing how far things will escalate before being abruptly yanked back into the format of the show. This allows it to get very experimental with its comedy. At parts, it feels like an episode of The Office, and then it'll switch to Nathan for You, and then I Think You Should Leave, and then SpongeBob within one segment. Let's pick a random episode to demonstrate this. In Season 2, Episode 4, Forrest is asked to review what it's like having a perfect body. The first 43 seconds of this segment are pretty normal. Forrest gets his teeth whitened and then goes to the gym. Then, he decides to get a tan, and within 1 minute of the segment, he looks like this. He soon discovers that working out is too difficult, so then he gets this new kind of advanced surgery for artificial muscles, but it just looks fucking awful, and he turns into a deformed orange Hulk guy. The muscles are literally just added weight that make it harder to work out, so he has to go on steroids. He gets a sudden burst of rage and decides to take it out on the cult living outside his house from the previous review. Don't ask. But then it turns into one of the most anarchically and chaotically funny shootout scenes in cinematic history, all culminating in... And then Forrest is like, you know what, I didn't really like that. 1 star. And trust me when I say that the show only gets darker and darker from there, which might not sound very fun to watch, but believe me, the show is very watchable for one key reason, and that's Andy Daly gives one of the best comedic performances I've seen in my entire life, I swear to God. I'm gonna be honest, this show would be borderline unwatchable if the main character wasn't perfect. All of the clever and witty writing, the shocking and dark comedy would mean absolutely nothing if Forrest McNeil wasn't likable. And Andy Daly, who wrote and starred in the show, absolutely nails it. Because he needs to be likable enough that you want to watch the show, but unlikable enough that you'll laugh at his misery. It's a very thin line that he captures perfectly. Daly makes Forrest a pretentious, misguided, racist, and generally annoying prick, so you find it really, really funny when he goes through pain.
Sharon, what race are you?
You're not supposed to ask people that.
If you don't tell me, I'll just assume the worst.
But he's also very determined, hopeful, optimistic, and well-intentioned that you enjoy seeing him win. It's a very delicate balance that the show usually manages to pull off really well. Sometimes it goes a little bit too far, but no show is perfect. Oh, and his delivery is amazing.
I don't know if it's the cool breeze, or the sound of lapping water, or the double dose of OxyContin, or the crisp, salt air.
Some of the shit that he says in this makes me laugh out loud every time I watch it, and I'm not usually the kind of person that laughs audibly when I'm watching a comedy by myself.
Excuse me, is this a glory hole?
That's a family hole.
And I haven't even gotten to the most interesting part of the show yet. Review is definitely a comedy the whole way through. Its main goal is always to make you laugh, but as it goes along, the comedy gets darker and darker. It reveals a shocking commitment to its core premise, which, without giving anything away, makes the show surprisingly bingeable. When you start to realize that these silly little adventures end up having disturbing consequences, which are so fucking macabre that you'd be crying if the show wasn't making you laugh so hard. The show isn't afraid to constantly switch up the status quo, and that's something that I really respect in comedies. Similarly to the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development, you get a full story every single episode, but intricate plot lines, callbacks, and running gags slowly weave themselves throughout the show. My personal favorite is the running gag that implies that his co-host has a secret double life while she's not filming the show. In multiple episodes, it's implied that she goes off on her own side quests and revenge plots, and I think that's hilarious. This is truly one of the funniest, darkest, truest, and uniquest comedy shows out there. So why did none of y'all watch it? Why do I think that one of the most amazing comedy shows out there that aired on a pretty major cable network that received universal acclaim from episode 1 had to be canceled after only 22 episodes? I think it's because the show was called Review. Okay, let me explain. If you want to type review into Google, you get reviews of stuff. If you type in review TV show, you get reviews of TV shows. So if I want to look up what the name of episode 6 of the show is, I'd have to go into Google and type in what is episode 6 of review TV show Comedy Central Andy Daly called. And I think if the show had a name that was a little bit more unique and searchable, it might still be on today. So in summary, watch the show. It's good. I like it. If you have a cable subscription, you can watch every episode online for free through the Comedy Central website. And if you don't have a cable subscription, you're screwed, or you could hypothetically just keep making 24-hour passes on Comedy Central's website and keep creating fake emails and fake passwords, and you can keep rewatching the episodes for free and without ads if you install an ad blocker, or you could pay for the show, whatever.